Hello. How are you tonight, Lauren? Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
How are you all?
Good.
I don't know. Some of us look awfully tired. Me too. So that's okay. We have 5 people currently, but I think we'll go ahead and we will get started. And hopefully the rest will come back to us later, or they'll get a copy of this. Now, did you all get the copy that I sent you from YouTube
Yes.
of the last session? Good.
Yeah.
Okay. I basically have started to house things on YouTube only because it makes it easier to share them, and because sometimes these MP4s work or they don't work or whatever. So by converting it to a YouTube, it seems to work a little bit better, makes it easier for people to connect. Okay, so tonight we are going to we're going to talk about video, and also any questions that you might have, I would be happy to continue to work to answer those. So why don't we start off by seeing if we have any questions from our last session or from the work that you've done over the past day or so on the PAs.
I have a question in regards to templates. Okay.
Yes.
I was looking over them and it says to leave the prompts on and then type our answers.
Correct.
But how about the gray shaded area on top, which has the instruction to not to write more than 9 pages with no space?
Oh, yeah. What you're going to do is, if you need to write more than the space you have under each prompt, then you're going to need to add pages to it.
Yeah, but my question was the instruction itself in the gray area.
I would leave everything alone.
Okay.
Just leave it the way it is.
And just with that thing, I can submit to Pearson.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to start each prompt. You're going to start your answer to each prompt on right where the prompt is. And then you would go into more pages if you would need them. But just use the template. The moment you start fussing with it, you are on the road to possible disaster.
I see.
So don't fuss with the template.
Okay. And all those templates available, these are all HTTP, because I saw the template starts from task 2. Why not from task 1? I mean, the complete templates over there, that's all it is?
The template that you see there is the template that you're going to use.
I see.
That's all there is.
Okay. Thank you.
But remember, you're going to need to send in supplementary materials. For example, if you are if you're doing the planning commentary, you need to send in your lesson plans, send in any activities that you're going to be doing with the students. You'll need to send in blank copies of any assessments that you're going to do with the students. So there's a lot that you need to send in.
Okay.
Dr. Sid, I have a question.
Yes.
Maurice. So I was looking over the clinical form where we log in, you know, our days. We check off the days or the weeks or whatever that we had caught. And when I downloaded it last night, it downloaded as a PDF. So that last sheet, like 3 sheets, that last sheet, do we just print that out and we fill it in? Because when I tried to, I just was messing around with it, like trying to put my name in it or something like that. I was just having a difficult time with that.
Yeah, those checklist sheets, those sign-in sheets. Those are just pen and paper.
Okay.
Unbelievably, something is still pen and paper.
I know, that's what kind of threw me off. I was like, is this real life? So, okay, I got it.
Yeah, so you just take it into the classroom with you. You want to keep it in your classroom folder so you can get it out every day.
Okay.
What signing sheets we talking about?
It's the clinical, Monica, it's the clinical login sheet where your mentor teacher sign off, you know, during your observation. That's the sheet I'm talking about. When I downloaded it, it was in a PDF form, and I thought that I can click edit and just type in, you know, whatever, but you're going to have to print it out and then fill it in and have your mentor teacher sign off on it.
And that's I can retrieve that from College of Education.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what? It may even be in your student teaching manual. There may be a copy of it there, but you'll find it in the College of Education. I think it's under student support. It may also be on the PLN under student support.
Thank you.
Basically, all it is a form. You've done these before. You remember when you did your field experiences?
Yes.
Courses, and at the end, you had to have something signed and all of that.
Yes.
It's basically the same kind of thing. And that's not going to go to your instructor. That's going to go to your student supervisor, your faculty supervisor, who meets with you in your classroom 4 times, is in charge of making sure that you fill your hours.
Okay.
Is someone flying an airplane? Hear that?
I have difficulties hearing you.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, it was you, Lori. Sorry. Okay. So if you have another question, feel free to unmute yourself. So that's something that you're going to do with your faculty supervisor, not with your course instructor. And it does not have anything to do with EdTPA. Okay? For you to graduate from GCU, you need, if you're in the 15-week course, you need 70 in-class days. And if you are in the 2 8-week sessions, you're going to need, I believe it's 75.
Yes, yes it is. Yeah.
Classroom days. So depending on which course you're in, either way, your faculty supervisor is going to be the one who determines whether or not you've accomplished your days. Now, don't be, I don't know why we're off on this, but I might as well go all the way here. I will go all the way. Let it go. Okay. Like the show. If you have not seen Frozen, you should not be a teacher. No, only because you got to know what they're watching. Do you know when I was a middle school teacher how many episodes of SpongeBob I watched as my brain cells died? But you gotta know a little bit about what they think and what they're doing and all of that. Anyway, so what's going to happen is if you finish your online course, but you have not yet finished your days, you'll get an incomplete for the online course until your days are completed. Okay?
I see.
So don't get too riled up. Oh, that happens a lot.
Oh,
So don't worry about that. Okay? But we can't give you credit for the course until you have finished all of those days.
Dr. Sid, I have a question.
Yes.
This is Keisha Reese again. Now, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, we can start logging our hours 2 weeks prior to starting our student teaching.
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay, because I start mine on February the 7th, so I think I'm looking at January the 24th to start logging in my teaching hours.
You know what? You can start logging in your hours whenever you really start going into the classroom and working.
Okay, so I've been in the classroom.
Okay.
So I can start logging my hours like now?
Well, I think so. I mean, that might be something to talk to your placement specialist about. But certainly 2 weeks before your course starts is fine.
Okay. Now, so if we're already in the classroom, because I'm already a contracted teacher, and I've been in the classroom since school started, so I can start logging in my hours. So like,
Oh, I see what you mean.
you
You know
understand?
what? I bet for that it is 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay.
Because otherwise you could say, well, heck, I'm done.
Right.
I've already put in 70 days,
Yeah.
you know, since September.
Yeah, because the 100th day of school is about to come up.
Right. Exactly. So I think that's probably fail-safe so that you actually have to do student teaching, even if you're contracted. So I would go with the 2 week thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because doctor said, I have a question. This is Lauren. I have not received my placement yet, but they're supposed to be hopefully in contact with me by tomorrow or Monday, I'm hoping. Because when I'm looking at our school calendar, we have winter break and spring break, which brings it down to 13 weeks. Because those are scheduled weeks off. And I don't start, technically, my student teaching class doesn't start until February 16th.
I understand, Lauren. Yep.
So I wonder how I deal with that.
You know what? The first thing you need to do is for them to give you your placement.
Right.
If that happens, and if you have to go after the
they have three post planning days that I can attend.
right. You know what? There are a number of things that you can do. You want to get in as many days as you can, but at the end you may have to go for a couple of weeks in order to make your days, and it would just delay getting your grade. It would not necessarily delay your graduation.
Okay.
In other words, if you're waiting on a final, on your final evaluation, which is what it would be, because they can't send the instructors the final fourth evaluation. If you're waiting on a final evaluation, and that date happens to be after graduation, you're going to walk in graduation anyway.
Okay.
They're not going to hold you back from something like that. They won't give you your degree right away. They'll send it to you after all of your commitments are fulfilled.
Right. That I understand. I was just worried about trying to make up the days and how that would all work, but I'll ask my placement person once they get in contact with me.
Yeah, once your placement, then you'll know better. You know, you certainly can use, I would strongly suggest that you go for in-service days, whatever in-service they're having.
I definitely
will. Or orientation days, or, you know, usually that's more in the fall. Where they'll have a whole week of orientation, and when I was a student teacher supervisor, I counted those days because I think it's important for you to get a sense of what the school is really like and what life in the school is really like and so on.
Right.
So if they have any sort of professional development, I would go ahead and take that and, be there for those days also. But I'm not sure what would be offered at this point.
Yeah, there's not much offered at the second semester in the county I work at. They have, I think, 2 teacher work days that I'm planning. That was already calculated into the 13 weeks. And then they had the 3 days post planning that I could attend definitely with a teacher. So I'll see what the placement counselor says.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions about any of that kind of stuff?
One other question, and then I'm going to just sit back and listen. When will our GCU, I don't know, I forgot the technical name, I guess the person that kind of shadow us or whatever, when will they get in contact with us?
Yeah, your faculty supervisor should be in touch with you very shortly after you get your placement. If you start teaching and you've not heard from your faculty supervisor,
right,
talk to your placement person. That advisor, your placement advisor, is going to have a key role now to play as you move forward in student teaching. But if you find out who your faculty supervisor is, do not hesitate to write to them or email them. But sometimes usually that first contact comes from the supervisor. When I was doing supervision, I would often contact my students even 2 or 3 weeks ahead of the semester to see how they were doing and what kind of questions they had and things like that, kind of explain the process. So you should be hearing from them as soon as your placement is set up. It shouldn't be too long before you hear from them.
Okay, because my placement was set up like before Christmas break, before we let out for Christmas break.
Okay.
And I'm doing it at my school, the charter school that I'm at now, but I check my emails on the regular. Like I haven't heard from anybody, so I guess I'll just reach out to them before I start logging my hours in.
Yeah, reach out to your placement specialist, and they would be the ones who would be able to help you with that.
Okay.
So, you'll be able to find out who it is.
Okay.
It is definitely not me.
Okay. Thank you.
That's okay.
Hi, this is Fabrice Wyatt, and I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so I just logged in, and I missed out on the part that the other person was, whatever the question was or whatever her concern was, but it just reminded me that, so how do we log in for our time?
I'm sorry. I'm finding it difficult to understand you. Could you say it again?
How do we go about logging in our time?
Oh, as someone said before, there's a form, and you use that form to log in your time every day. Just pen and paper. You just have to remember to sign it each day.
So where do you get this form from?
Oh, the form is either in your student teaching handbook, or you can get it from the College of Education.
Online?
Yes.
Okay. So once I do that, then who do I turn this into?
Okay, that goes to your student teacher supervisor.
Okay.
That's the person who's going to come and talk to you or observe you teach 4 times. Remember,
Okay.
that has nothing to do with EdTPA. Okay?
Okay.
You're going to have somebody from the college who comes to observe you 4 times. Every student teaching student has that, whether they're doing EdTPA or not. Okay?
Okay.
That's
Okay.
a CU requirement. In fact,
Okay.
every college and university that does certification has that requirement.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so that's what that is about.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Let's move on a little bit. I'd like to talk about video, and then I certainly am open to going back and answering some more questions. Now, the reason this says session 2 is because it is part of a 4-session study group. That study group is for students who are in their course, or anybody who wants to attend. That study group begins next Tuesday, but it's not PAST. It's for anyone who wants to attend. So you will get notified about it in your student teaching course. So that's something that you would have to register for and all of that. But in any case, we're going to preview that a little bit because we do our second study group on videotaping, just like we're doing for EdTPA. So let's talk a little bit about the first issue, which I'm sure you're thinking about. What are my professional responsibilities for maintaining confidentiality? Confidentiality is extremely important. You are required to obtain consent from students and other adults who appear in video clips. Now, what does that mean? That means that either you need to send out a consent form, or your school may have consent forms for this year already on file. And that's because they like to put up pictures on the internet of the sports teams and the drama and the chorus and all of that sort of thing. In order to even put that on the computer, they need those forms as well. What do you do with those forms after you receive them? Nothing. You hold on to them. You do not send them to EdTPA. Trust me, EdTPA is not interested in hundreds of thousands of consent forms being sent to them. If you take everybody that has to do EdTPA and you try to send them all of the consent forms from 30 people in a class or whatever, trust me, they don't want those. You hold on to them. They're there for your protection, just to make sure that you have permission to do what you're doing. Video of your teaching should never be posted in public venues like YouTube, Facebook, or shared with people not involved with the EdTPA assessment. That's just common sense, right? You don't put up videos of kids in public places, especially not for this kind of thing. Unavoidable identifying information, such as when the name of a school is visible. You don't want to give the name of the school, the name of the district, or anything that might enable somebody to find these kids. Now, you're going to send that information to EdTPA, but you don't want anything overt or easy on the video that would make it possible for anyone using the internet to find these students. So is that clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the kind of video that you're going to do, remember we talked about this before, you are allowed to do one video segment of 20 minutes or 2 videos of 10 minutes apiece. You may not edit within those videos. So you can't stage this like it's a movie, okay? Let's try that line again. Okay, little girl, could you read that better this time? You can't do stuff like that, obviously. So, so what do I recommend? I recommend that you videotape everything. Now, granted, 3 to 5 lessons is going to be a lot more than 20 minutes, right? But what you're going to do is you are going to go back at the end of your EdTPA, and you're going to edit. You're going to check those videos and see which ones you want to use. So people will say to me, well, how come we just can't videotape 20 minutes? That's fine, except you videotape 20 minutes, and at minute 23, something terrific happens, and guess what? You haven't got it, have you? Because you only are taping 20 minutes. So you want to make sure that you tape all of your sessions in the instructional period. Okay. Any questions about that? And there is free video editing software that you can get to, take away whatever's in front of your 10 minutes and whatever's behind your 10 minutes, so that you only have 10 minutes. Do not send in too much video or they will kick it back to you and make you pay again. So be very careful with the timing. Okay.
I have a question in regards to these two videos for 10 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yes.
Do they have to be about the same lesson? I mean,
no.
The same day, or it could be the same unit but different days?
It would be the same set of lesson plans, but it would be a different day.
Okay.
Or it could be. They both could be at the same time, or it could be 2 different days.
Okay.
But that's really your only flexibility with this is the 2 different days, because again, you can't edit like 3 days together. So that's going to be your choices. You're going to be allowed 10 minutes twice. You'll see that it works out okay because you are looking again for specific evidence of something that you're writing about in your commentary. Okay? So it's not just random, I'm going to take this now. It has to have some sort of relevance to your commentary and to your evidence that your student is learning.
So it looks like as the first I have to do video and then I'm going to write about it. Correct?
That's correct.
Actually, the number 1, I do planning.
Right. Number 1,
2, I do video, and then I do everything else.
That's right. And you can't do the video until the video is in the second task, instruction. You don't even start that until after the planning commentary is done. So remember what I said at the beginning. We're going to take this piece by piece. So the first piece you need to worry about is your planning commentary. Once that is done, Then you go on to teaching your lessons and videotaping yourself teaching, or having someone else videotape you teaching. Okay, but none of that can happen until the planning commentary is finished.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so you have to videotape yourself first, and then videotape with the students
No.
after you get the permission, or?
No. Don't videotape yourself at all. Okay?
Okay.
Don't give an introduction. Don't speak to the scorer at any time. Just do what you would normally do if that camera were not there.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay?
Gotcha.
But under no circumstances should you introduce yourself or any of that kind of business in front of the camera. So
Okay.
until you're not going to do any taping until you get those permission forms back.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Audio, we'll talk more about making sure that you have good audio quality. That's not something you have to worry about now. This is important. Display interaction and higher level thinking. Your video clip should reveal the subject-specific student thinking from your learning segment. Feature instruction where there is a student-teacher interaction and/or student-student interaction, and where students have opportunities to engage in learning tasks. Now, if you are in special education, you're obviously not going to necessarily have the student-to-student interaction because you're only going to have the one focus student.
Okay.
Elementary, you would definitely need to have some interactions.
Okay.
Okay. Probe students' thinking and/or facilitate students in probing each other's thinking so that they can display their depth of understanding. Students should be shown actively using some higher level thinking skills so that they are developing their conceptual understanding of the content. Connect their prior academic learning and personal, cultural, and community assets. So in other words, what you're going to be looking for is interaction between you and the student, and you want that student to be engaging in learning tasks. So you're going to have to do active learning, right? How interesting, how good a score do you think you're going to get if all your student is doing is taking a test on paper? Does it show anything? Really? Doesn't. So those are the kind of things you want to avoid. You don't want to show yourself lecturing. You want to show interaction. You want to show active learning. You want to show how you differentiated instruction. You want to show that the student gets it on more than a memorization level. So when we talk about higher level thinking skills, we're not talking about taking a spelling test, which is just rote memorization. We're talking about doing something that shows that you get, that you understand, that the student understands what's going on. Okay. Both respect and rapport are demonstrated by how you treat students and how they treat each other, including examples of respectful interactions among your students and/or your interventions to create and maintain an environment of respect. One of the things that you need to think about now without going into all of this, is as you begin to get to know your class, think about a student with whom you have a great relationship, a great rapport, because that is the student that you're going to want to use. Okay? If you have a student that's always disrespectful to you, that is a behavior problem, excuse me, or things like that, that may not be the best student to use, especially in special ed, where it's basically you and the student as your focus learner. So you want to find a student that with whom you can demonstrate a rapport, with whom you have a relationship. You're not going to know that, by the way, on day one. So give yourself a little bit of time to get to know the students before you decide who your focus student is going to be. Okay, capture relevant evidence on video. We talked about that a little bit. Remember, we're looking for evidence of student learning. Just some ideas about the video files that are acceptable. And here they all are. I know some of them. I am not the greatest techie on earth, because when I did my student, well, we had computers when I started teaching, but when I was in college and in my first career, we did not have all of this technology. So making a video was quite a bit different back in the day. You should use, if you use HD recording, please know that it produces a very large file. You may want to either not use HD recording or be aware that you're going to need to compress the file. Okay. So that is just a little bit about the videotaping and some of the things that go along with it. And I'm happy to take any questions. I want you to spend your time wisely, and I know we've already spent an hour this week together. I don't mind. I like seeing your faces. I like learning about you. I am in my real life, in my other life, I'm a disabled person, so I don't get out of my house all that often. So it's kind of nice to see people from all over the country this way. Okay.
Doctor said, I have a question real fast.
Yes.
Now, when we video record, what is the best device to use to record? Are cell phones a good enough quality nowadays, or do we need to find access to other equipment?
You know, I get this question a lot, and a cell phone will work. You can do it on cell phone. My suggestion is that just to be on the safe side, get to know the techie person in your school. They may have equipment that they're willing to let you use. They may even be willing to film for you. Because I've never been sure if those I guess they're fine, the iPhone videotapes or whatever. But remember, you're going to need someone to hold the camera while you're teaching.
Now, does the camera need to go, like if you're walking around the room, I pace when I am teaching. I walk around the room constantly. Do we need to have the camera follow? You know, obviously not close up, but if I move to the back of the room, does the camera need to follow to the back of the room, or can it just be focused in a general area?
I would not focus in a general area. Remember, you're looking for evidence. I would even give it to someone. Some of the best video that I've ever seen is when the cooperating teacher does the videotaping and will move in on a student who's actually working.
All
or
right.
if you have two students doing a discussion, if she can kind of sneak her way in there and record the discussion, that's great stuff.
All right, yeah. All right, that makes sense, because I was just trying to think of like activities that I would do, and if they were doing partner work and they're discussing cells, which would be science for me, then it would be adamant that the camera would go on to two people, even if I was there sitting with them asking higher level thinking questions and things like
Absolutely.
that. Wasn't sure how that worked. Okay, thank you.
Or have them in science, have them work on an experiment.
Yeah, well, most likely that's where it would lead to.
Yep.
I just gotta figure out where they're at in their lessons when I get there.
That's the best thing, because they love doing experiments. And, you know, I mean, my favorite thing when I was in science, I shouldn't tell you this, was doing stuff up, but I'm not sure you want that to send to EdTPA. Okay, other questions about videotaping?
I had a question.
Go ahead.
I did my videos because I've been through one student teaching already, and I did a small group of students with the focus student as this student with the IEP, but it had two students in the group to show the differentiation in what I did for those students. If I moved the camera so that you could see it a little bit better, would that count against me for moving it so you could see the students?
No, not at all.
Okay.
You want to see the students. It's better to see the students than to see you.
Okay.
Okay. Other question?
I see over here that we have to register for the next session.
No. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
That's the next session will be on Monday, and we'll do it like we did it this time. That's just for the study groups. That's not this yet.
Okay.
Okay. So don't.
Sid, hi. This is LaShawn. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I am actually calling by phone, although I can see the camera on my computer. I'm not sure what happened, but I had trouble logging in, and I tried it multiple times. Did anyone else have trouble?
No.
So that I'll know for the next section.
You know what? I found out what's been happening, and maybe this will help a little bit. I was able to get a hold of Tracy, and one of the issues that she's dealing with right now is that they are making the PLN coordinate with all of the other technology on campus by using the same login and password everywhere. So you know how your student portal uses a password? And it's the same password you use to get on LoudCloud and all of that?
Yes.
They're doing that with the PLN, and it's caused some technical issues.
Okay.
So keep trying to get in, and use the password that you use for everything else that you see.
Okay. Well, that's what I've been doing. I didn't have any trouble when we signed in on Tuesday, but for some reason I had trouble tonight. So I'll try again. When is our next session
Our
that
next
we'll have?
session is going to be Monday evening. And I will send out a notice either Sunday or Monday to remind you. This one will be set up. I will have it done in the morning, and I will send it out by email again. Did that work for everyone?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
You're gonna have access to this PowerPoint?
Will I what?
The access to the PowerPoint you just used. There's a lot of good information.
You'll just have whatever is in this video. You will get access to the PowerPoint a little bit later on.
Okay.
Dr. Sid, I have a question.
Yeah.
And this is from earlier. The consent form.
Yes.
Now, if our school, I'm quite sure most schools, they do have consent forms, you know.
Mhm.
However, I know you said, I think I heard you say something about it can't show the school name or whatever
Right.
the case may be. So,
Not the consent form, the video.
oh, the video. Okay. So,
Yes,
but the consent form,
isn't going anywhere. You're just going to hold on to it.
yeah, for liability purposes, I understand that.
Right. So it can have whatever.
Okay. And say, for instance, just in the worst case scenario, if our school doesn't have a consent form, do GCU have one, or could we make up a consent form?
You don't have to. It's on the PLN.
Oh, okay.
It's under Ed TPA materials. I know there's one under the Georgia materials that people from anywhere can use.
Okay.
But we do have consent forms available on the PLN. Either under student teaching or more likely under Ed TPA.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
You know, it is also entirely possible that they may want you to do another consent form anyway because you're not a contracted student, you're not a contracted teacher. So they may feel that they want you to do another one anyhow. So see how that works, and you'll, talk to your cooperating teacher about it.
Okay, thank you.
And they're not allowed to say our name, correct, in the video?
Yeah, they can say your name.
Are we allowed to say their name as well? Or
Only first names.
okay.
So, so just use their first names. And remember, you also do need consent from adults.
If they on the video.
Yes. If they're in the video, exactly. Okay. One other suggestion that I would make to you at this time, because it kind of goes hand in hand with video recording, and that is you should keep a notebook next to you. And each day, write down what happened that day. It doesn't have to be long. Just, we went over the math problem, such and such, and Billy really got it. Billy had an aha moment. The reason you want to do that is because when you finally get to revising your portfolio and getting your videotape ready, you may not remember exactly what happened when. So you want some kind of a notebook next to you with the date and the day and maybe the number of the lesson plan to help you navigate through what you did later on. It's just a good practice. And any observations that you write become dun, dun, dun.
Data.
Yep, exactly. Observations become data when you write them down. And so you may even want to make photocopies or scans of those pages, and that you would send in with your task 3, with your assessment task. So I would strongly suggest that it doesn't have to be a tablet, it doesn't have to be really fancy, just a notebook and a pen that you can use to summarize each day after you finish teaching. And that's only for the week of Ed TPA. Okay. Any other questions?
If the students look at the camera, is that something that we need to not use?
No.
2. And
No, the students are going to look at the camera.
Okay.
The students may make faces into the camera.
They did.
That probably is not something you want to show, but if everything around it is good, you know, the student does something great and then looks in the camera and makes a face, you know, I'm so great, but that's all right.
Okay.
It's okay. You know, you're dealing with kids, and there are a few things kids like better than to be on camera for the most part. And thus, YouTube was born. My favorite YouTubes are the ones where kids get on and do things to show that they have skills that they really don't have. You know, like skateboarding. Look what a great skateboarder I am. And then, you know, they wipe out right away. Anyway. So they do like it. That happens. Any other questions?
What is the best? I use a program called Screencastify to record my videos. Do you know if that's a good tool to use? And it only records for 10 minutes and then it shuts itself off. And you have to sign back in to keep recording.
That's probably not good, because if you forget to sign back in, you're going to be missing stuff.
Okay. Well, I only did it for those lessons, and I would keep signing in with this small group because I only worked with.
Well, if
two boys.
it's already done, then it's already done.
Okay.
I would not. You can't go back and redo it. It's not one of those things. So that's fine. You know what?
I have another student teaching to do. So if I needed to redo like the whole lessons, then I would just start over.
Right. No, I have to tell you, I am not an expert on anything relating to video technology. So I don't pretend to be. I'm what we call a digital immigrant. While many of you are born in the digital age. Just means I was born before computers. Okay. If there are no other final questions, then it is close to 7 o'clock, and I will let you go. Some of you look extremely tired. I'm a little tired myself. I know this is a lot of information that you are that you're getting into, and I appreciate your diligence. I have to say that this class, as in general, is one of the most active and participating that I've had in the couple of years we've been doing these classes. And that's a good thing, because the more you learn now, the easier your student teaching class is going to be. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I will see you on Monday. If you need to talk to me before that, you know how to get in touch with me. And once again, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much for this class.
Oh, you're very welcome.